The last video I talked extensively about the power of asking and trying to teach ourselves, how do we ask? How can we ask the universe, a loved one, our boss for something? Now, with that, the statement says, ask and you shall receive. So how good are you at receiving? Because if you've been taught not to ask, you've been taught not to expect anything, you've been taught not to have needs, you've been taught not to have any expectations that you're going to receive anything. So the statements, I'm fine, I'm okay, I have to do it all myself, those kind of things are running through our system. Now, in the vow of learning not to have needs, one of the hardest questions that I was always asked is, what do you want? I'm going, well, wants and needs are the same thing. I mean, I wasn't allowed to want, I wasn't allowed to have needs. So I learned how to shut that down. So now, as we're developing these new pathways, these new ideas of thinking, how good are you at receiving? Can you receive compliments easily? Can you receive gifts without thinking, oh, well, I haven't got anything for you, or I haven't got anything to return, or you take a mental stock of everything that you've received so that you're not indebted to anybody, because then that means that, you can't let anybody else down. You don't mind being let down, but you can't risk letting another person down for whatever reason. You don't want them to reject you and so on. So in honor for you to be a whole person and in relation to being a fully holistic human being, we have to learn how to receive. We have to maybe even tap in the ability to receive. So it's the same as when I've chatted about acceptance and approval. You cannot accept anything if your hands are closed. And it's the same as our energy pattern. We can't let the things in if our energy is closed. You can't let the good money in if our energy is closed. You can't let the good compliments in, the good love, the good career, the good feelings in, because it's all got to do with pleasure, and the second chakra has all got to do with the sensuality and the pleasure and receiving the joy of life. And if you can't receive something as basic as a compliment, you're going to really struggle to keep receiving if somebody just gives you something just because they want to. So let's start tapping with the basic premise of I haven't been taught how to receive. So tapping on the karate chop point. Even though I don't really know how to receive graciously, I haven't really been taught how to receive with grace. I know how to give with grace, but I don't know how to receive with grace. I'm working on it. Even though I have this resistance to receiving, and it's part of my mental programming, I'm willing to now allow what's dutifully mine into my life. Okay, that might be a big ask, so I'm just seeing, because I felt a resistance. Okay, so then tap. I struggle to receive. I struggle to receive. My body really struggles with the concept of receiving. I can just receive? Can I really just receive? Can I really just receive? Am I ready to receive? Am I ready to receive? I want to be ready, and I want you to nod your head. I want to be ready to start receiving. I want to be ready to receive. I want to be ready to receive. I want to be ready to receive. I want my body to know it's safe for me to receive. I want to feel safe enough to receive with an open heart. I want to be able to receive with the same kind of grace that I give. I want to be able to receive. And take a deep breath. And say, I want to be able to receive. Yeah, that feels a bit truer. If it doesn't feel true for you, just pause the video, rewind a little bit, and just go through that tapping again. Just so that you can start getting that, we're opening the inroad in your mind. It's like, I want to be able to receive without expectation. So how good are you at giving? Do you give without expectation? Do you give freely and openly and it's no problem, let me get it, I'll get it, because of course we're doing a noble thing. So you know how good it is when you give somebody something that they really, really wanted and they couldn't afford it, or they couldn't find it, or they just weren't in a position to get themselves to get it, and you go in and you save the day and you're able to give it to them. Isn't that such a nice feeling when you give? Now imagine you're on the receiving end and somebody wants to do the same, yet you can't receive with an open and gracious heart. You're depriving the other person of that good feeling. And this is one of the concepts I often bridge to my clients in order for the logic brain to say, okay, because we need to be able to receive. If you don't receive enough oxygen, you will soon know about it. If you don't receive enough energy, then we're always tired. So if you're giving, energetically, you're not getting topped up again. It's like that tank running on empty petrol fumes. So in order to start receiving, we can't just go and fill the tank up if it's been empty for a while. You need to do it gradually. So this is what we're doing. We're shifting. Okay, I want to be able to receive. I want to be able to receive with the grace and with kindness. Okay, so let's just do some tapping. Even though I haven't allowed myself to receive all this time because it's not very noble. It's easier to give than to receive. I want my body to know I'm beginning to shift that. It's easier to give than to receive, but I want it to become balanced. It's easier to give than to receive. I still have difficulty in the idea of receiving. I really struggle to receive. I really struggle to receive. I really struggle to receive. But I want to let go of this fear of receiving. I want to let go of my body's fear that it's not safe for me to receive. I'm letting go of this fear of receiving. I'm letting go of this fear of receiving. I want to be able to receive. I want to be able to receive. I want my body to feel safe in receiving. I want to be able to receive. I do. I want to be able to receive. And then take a deep breath. Now, I didn't really end those sentences. So when you're receiving something, if somebody just comes along and gives you something, like 1,000 rand, immediately, what's your body response? Okay, is it, well, what do they want? What's the catch? Can't accept this. But yet when you give of your time and your energy consistently to another person, they might be needier. They might well be in a disadvantaged position, but if they've not asked for your help and you keep supplying, how do you end up feeling? Do you feel taken advantage of? Do you feel eventually worn out because you just giving? That's your body's way of saying, okay, that's enough. We need a balance here. So how does this relate to weight loss and your mind? Well, if you think back to the times where you do start to lose weight and people start giving you compliments. The condition is, it's only now because I'm losing weight. But what if people just give you compliments all the time? Before you've lost any weight, without any condition. Do you struggle to receive that? This is why it's so important for you to understand your relationship to receiving. The idea of just receiving without any obligation to retaliate. Now, in some ways, the act of giving is a kind of like even though we've got low self-esteem, you might be feeling, well, I'm in a better position to give than you, but they haven't asked for your help. So automatically I would say, well, you're feeling that you're better than them. And we would say, no, but I'm doing a good thing. You might well be doing a good thing, but they haven't asked for your help. So in a way, you're taking away their opportunity to either figure out how to get whatever it is that they're requiring themselves. So you're denying them their growth. You might be denying them the opportunity of the family working together. Okay, an example of this is early days, we used to always go to our in-laws and we would always take things. And my brother-in-law used to have trouble receiving this at the time. And my husband at the time, he just couldn't understand. He says, what's the problem? And I'm going, it's his pride. If you're constantly given stuff and you haven't expressed a need and you haven't expressed there's a problem, it can actually make you feel quite insecure. So this is the thing, when you start getting compliments for no reason other than the fact that the person happens to like you, you become suspicious, you become intimidated, or such and such. And this is the reservations and the resistance to receiving that can build up over time. Now, you can think back maybe to when you were a young child. Perhaps you were given something just for no apparent reason, and there was an obligation. So there might be a trauma there. So it might be useful to, to look at that trauma in a little bit more detail, to do some of the processes that you can, we've worked through the videos. But I'd like to just address it in a little tapping session here. Okay, so now I'm trying to think of an example that I could use personally. Okay, but I'm just going to have to make one up, okay? Even though when I was a little child, I got given things, and there was always a sense of indebtedness to that person. I always owed them something. I don't like that feeling. I don't like feeling that I'm owing anybody anything. I want my body to know it's safe to let that go. I was just a little girl, and I always thought that something was coming, even though it didn't. At the time, receiving was dangerous, and I'm still cautious when it comes to receiving certain things. If I just get given things now, I really struggle to accept. And as a result, I'm still in that old program of reluctant to ask. I'm just waiting to receive. But then when I do receive, my body goes into resistance. I take a deep breath. So let's take the example of the compliments. What if somebody just can't stop giving you compliments because they think you're the best thing since sliced bread? Are you willing to maybe accept them now? If not, then you need to do some tapping and need to do some deep down, okay, but and if you want to go into the what if, what is that person expecting in return? And if you've got your reservations and your cautions, then of course the receiving is tainted. So one of the problems as well with resistance to receiving is that it means that when we say things that I'm fine, when you need help, first of all, you can't ask for it. And if you do ask for it and people want to give you help willingly and lovingly, you might still have a resistance to it. So because of this double-edged sword of, well, now I'm going to have to repay that person and I might never have the means, so you're indebted. So there's that kind of thing. Then there's also the thing of it all depends on me. So once again, you're better than the other person. And this is the problem during this lockdown period, where so many people, we have a problem feeling grateful with what we've got, because we immediately then start to discount it by looking outside and finding millions of people who are worse off than you. So then you feel guilty for having. So it's like, okay, if you believe in a creator or in a faith or in a loving universe, and you're struggling to receive, then it's also a question of faith. One of the things that I always give my clients an example of how difficult it is to receive is like when you ask for a good thing for another person, that is, it always feels quite noble. But what if that person had to learn how to ask themselves? So that kind of gets into a little bit of an ethical kind of dilemma. Am I interfering on that person's behalf? But I'm thinking if you're doing it from a goodness of the heart, I don't think it really matters. But the problem is if you're doing it for another and you can't do it for yourself, you have to start to learn how to ask and receive without any obligation for yourself. Because if you don't, it means that we are limiting the universe. You're putting a limit on your God. You're putting a limit on your creator. Because you're saying, well, I only have this much. So if you've got an open heart and you receive with an open heart, and the bounty is that you're supposed to receive absolutely every single gift under the sun, and you're going, no, I can't. So then it is almost like you're stifling the flow. Because if you do start receiving with a willing and open heart, then your giving will still be, it won't be from a place of, I'm better than you. It's just, okay, I have, and I'm also trusting that it's going to keep coming. Because even if you wanted to hoard onto it and keep it for a little while because of the specialness, and you're not doing it out of fear that this is the only one that's coming along, because of this lack mentality, and you're beginning to receive with an open heart, and that it's really, really one of you, it's your human duty to receive. It will be second nature for you to start giving with an open heart. So then the flow is going through you, and not, okay, well, I'm not taking this because, you know, I didn't ask for it or whatever. It's like, I'm receiving with the love that it's been given. Then you start giving with love instead of pity. You start giving love with the open heart that it's just working through me. It's not, I'm not depriving myself of anything other. In fact, I'm gaining because it makes me feel good, but I know that good things are still going to follow. And that, I think, is one of the best things that helped me to start realizing that I could receive. So to receive simple little things, like a compliment. One of the things that I used to do as a youngster or a younger adult was that if someone would give me a compliment, immediately I'd go, oh, this, I got this little thing at such and such a place. Oh, this, it only cost X amount of money. Or they might say, oh, you're looking shiny today. Oh, it must be because I had a good night's sleep. So we discount the gift of the compliment because we're discounting ourselves. So it's to putting a value on ourselves. Myself, I'm saying ourself, but myself. I want you to start putting a value on yourself and to understand that even if you start to feel totally whole and complete, the value of self is such that you're in the flow of love, and it will always be topped up. And you're not going to be thinking, oh, well, I'm only going to be loved when I lose X amount of kilograms. I'm only going to be loved when I do that thing for that person. Or that person only loves me because of what I can give them. So all these conditions begin to fall away, and it gets a little bit easier for you to receive the gift that is you. So imagine we had to say every time we took an inhalation, thank you. We would be exhausted. So it's just a matter of, and that is how the law of the universe works. It will constantly give if we're in a matched vibration. But because we have this resistance to receiving and we're constantly giving, the imbalance is that we struggle to let the good value stuff in for ourselves. So in the appreciation of self and in the receptivity of love and gifts and compliments and help when it's offered, and you can receive openly and think, okay. And I've begun recently as, oh, well, now I can pay it forward. I'm still discounting the gift. I have to stop myself now and say, let it settle, feel it in your body. Because as youngsters, somehow, in that base second chakra wound is this belief that we don't have a need. I don't have this need. I'm not allowed to want this good feeling. I have to do the good feeling of being of service and being a people pleaser and being a slave to giving. So it's not the people, it's my need to give. And now I want to have a desire to receive, and that can cause a little bit of a resistance. So just to end off, I just want to do a little tap up round just to round it off. Okay. Even though I've always been a really good giver, maybe it's time for me to start topping up and allow myself to receive. Even though I don't know how yet, I do want to start learning how to receive and standing with the flow and in the flow. Even though I don't really know how yet, I'm willing to listen to my body anytime someone tries to give me a compliment. I'm willing to allow the flow of receiving. I'm not really sure how yet, but as part of asking, I'm willing to be open to receiving. I want to be open to receiving. I'm willing to be open to receiving. Yeah, and I had a little sigh there. I want to start receiving. I want to start feeling good about receiving. I want to start feeling loving about receiving. I want receiving to be easy. I want receiving to be easy for me. I don't want it to have all these conditions. I want to be able to receive. I want to be able to receive. I do. I want to be able to receive. Nod your head. I want to be able to receive without conditions. I want to be able to receive without obligations. I want to allow the flow of loving energy in so that I can receive the loving energy and be one with the loving energy. I want to be open for miracles. I want to be open for good things. I want to be open for good feelings. I want to be open for good thoughts of others. I want to feel open to the good thoughts of myself. I want to start feeling that I'm deserving. Because as a little girl, I didn't feel deserving. I always thought deserving had to be from a condition. But what if deserving is my birthright? What if breathing just makes me automatically deserving? What if it's my birthright to receive? What if I've been denying this opportunity of the universe to give me anything that I could wish for? And even though I don't know how to wish for things yet, I'm open to receiving. Yeah, have some water. And say, I'm open to receiving. That feels okay. But then the next thought is, what am I going to receive? So I threw in there a little statement of miracles. Now, particularly when it comes to weight loss, if I say to you tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up in your ideal weight, how will you feel? You'll feel apprehensive. You'll feel disbelief. You'll feel nervous. You'll feel everything but accepting of it, because all your life you've had to work hard, give all the effort. It all depends on you to do the hard work. So how can you just lose the weight so easily? How can you suddenly start receiving everything that you've been kind of accumulating in that vibrational escrow, where it is just waiting for you to turn around and say, okay, let it in. Can you imagine that possibility, or is it too overwhelming? Let's do some tapping, because I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. Even though the thought of opening the door to everything that I've been refusing from my whole life is a little overwhelming, I'm willing to give it a try. Even though my body's a bit nervous about receiving everything at once, because all this time I've been receiving nothing and not having needs and not having wants. So how all of a sudden can I just put this in? I'm willing to give it a try. And tap along again. Say, I want to become open to receiving everything. What if I said, yes, let me allow it in? Could I let it in? I want to let it in. Nod your head. I want to let all that loving energy in. I want to let all the gifts that I've been nobly refusing all my life, I want to let them in. I want to let all the love, all the good deeds, everything that I've been denying myself, I want to let it all in. All these good feelings. What if I let them all in? What if I started allowing myself to feel safe in the face of receiving things? What if I allowed it all in? Could I receive it? Do I have open hands? Do I have open heart? Am I ready? I want to be ready. I am ready for receiving the gifts. I'm ready for receiving all the things that I have been denying my body. I'm ready for receiving all the opportunities available to me. I'm ready for feeling I'm worthy. I'm deserving. I'm deserving. Letting it all in. I am. I'm deserving. I am deserving. I'm deserving. I'm not taking it away from anybody else because there's plenty. I live in a world full of abundance. I live in a world full of abundance. I am tired of putting a limit on my universe. I know I've done it for such a long time, but I am no longer wanting to limit the universe because it was just waiting for me to say yes. It couldn't give me anything without my permission. And now I'm giving myself permission to receive all the abundance, all the good things, all the good feelings that I've been denying myself. I'm letting it all in now. And take a deep breath. And I think that's a good time to end this session. May you have an open heart, an open hands, and an open mind.